Are judges on food shows lying to you? This is a hot dog is a sandwich. Ketchup is a smoothie.
Yeah, I put ice in my cereal, so what?
That makes no sense.
A hot dog is a sandwich.
A hot dog is a sandwich.
What? Welcome to our podcast, A Hot Dog is a Sandwich. I'm your host, Josh Scherer.
And I'm your host, Nicole Enayati.
And today we are joined by Gail Simmons, culinary expert, food writer, and television personality. You may know her best as a permanent judge on Bravo's Emmy-winning series Top Chef since the show's inception in 2006, and I was right there watching the premiere, Nicole. And she's coming back to your TV on March 9th for Top Chef Season 20 International All-Stars Edition set in London. Gail, welcome to the show.
Hi guys. I'm psyched to be talking to you.
Us too. This is incredible.
Hey, thank you.
Psyched to be talking to you. Psyched about Top Chef Season 20 International All-Stars.
Badass.
I mean, this is, they should have just renamed it The Hunger Games because that's what this reminds me of.
Essentially, that's what it is. Yes, it's very cutthroat to the death.
Probably IP issues around that. But tell me about the new season that is coming out on March 9th. You're taking All-Stars from countries all around the world?
That's right. So the most amazing thing about our little journey, our little engine that could, is that, you know, we started making Top Chef in 2006. We have now made 20 seasons. And along the way, different countries all over the world, something like 29 countries all over the world have licensed and made their own versions of Top Chef. So there's Top Chef Middle East and Top Chef Poland and Top Chef France and Italy and Top Chef Canada and Top Chef Lithuania. I don't know. I mean, really, 29 of them. In addition to our version, which airs in 100 plus countries all over the world. And so we were trying to figure out what to do for our 20th anniversary, this kind of milestone we can't believe we're still kicking around.
That's right.
Milestone. And we thought, well, wouldn't it be amazing to gather winners and runners up, like the best of the best from all these different versions all over the world, bring them to some sort of like neutral territory and shoot a Top Chef with them. And that's what we did. So it's called World All-Stars. There are 11 countries represented, all winners or finalists from their respective countries. And me, Tom, and Padma hanging out in London for 2 months. And it was amazing. It was so fun. It kind of changed everything. It just felt really different and crazy and like something we'd never done before. And I'm really excited for you guys to see it.
I'm hyped. Top Chef is my favorite sports season. Like my favorite sports seasons go Top Chef, then it's like college basketball, outdoor track and field.
Yeah. Most food competitions are like the best sports on TV. No offense.
100%. But no, there's a reason. So a thing we wanted to talk about today is what makes Top Chef different as a cooking competition show, because not only is Top Chef on its 20th season, but every single season and every single competitor stays relevant. Like Top Chef is the only cooking competition show out there, and I'm not just trying to butter your bread over here, but that if you are in, I will, because I'll absolutely gush.
No, I feel it. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, every chef testant, I know that's a branded
chef
word. It still feels silly to say for me.
I think it's still a capital C. I don't think we own the word, but we did create the word.
I'm gonna make chef testant t-shirts then in that case. But every contestant that's in the top 5, I mean, they are getting restaurant deals, they're getting opportunities.
It's incredible.
I'm one of those people. My first date with my fiance was at Top Chef Boston winner May Lynn's restaurant. Nightshade, Boston Report.
Nightshade,
Boston,
downtown LA. It was the most beautiful restaurant. Oh, I loved it. I love her. And you're right. We think about this a lot because we want to stay in our jobs. And all of us, not just Tom, Padma, and I, but all 150 of us really love making this show.
Sure.
And so every year the question becomes, how do we keep relevant? How do we stay being able to do what we've created and make it different and make it fresh and make people want to keep watching? And I think there's a number of things that have allowed us to do that. I think you hit it on the head, Josh, in that it's not about us. It's really about the contestants. Our casting department spends an inordinate amount of time year long finding people who really speak to sort of our mission of the best, people on that like precipice of their careers who we know can change the industry. And I think, and also that they have a story to tell. They need to be able to cook, obviously, at the highest level. Like, these are all professionals. These are not people who want to be chefs, right?
Sure.
These are people who have been practicing their craft for 10 plus years. They're chef de cuisines, they're executive chefs, they're restaurant owners at this point on their own, in their own right. And they are, they have a specific point of view. So they can cook, but they also need to tell their story. And, those criteria have also changed and sort of evolved and become even more important over the years as the culinary industry has changed too. So that's the first thing. We really make sure that it's about them and how to put them in a position just to make the most captivating, storytelling. Right. And then also I think the fact that we're not a studio show, we're on location, we go around the world. So this is the first season. London was the first time we did an entire season abroad, but we usually are in a different city in America every single season, a different place all over the world for the finale. We've been from Hawaii to Singapore to Italy, Mexico, all over the place. And so the backdrop is such a big piece of our story. It, the backdrop really speaks to the food that we're cooking, the history, the way we create our challenges. It really becomes its own character in a lot of ways. And it's what differentiates every season. We don't tell the same story in Charleston that we tell in Tuscany. We don't tell the same story in Boston that we tell in Colorado. Because the ingredients, the agriculture, the chefs who built those cities, the immigrant populations that traversed into those places through trade routes over hundreds of years, inform the food you eat in that place, which inform the food that we're going to get them to cook and learn. And so every season's really different. And that sounded sort of weirdly like a geography lesson, but also
that's part of it.
That's what makes us different, right? So I'm really I think it's the hardest part about our show because we every year we have to start fresh, and every year we have to build our kitchen all over again and pick up our families and move to some unknown location. But we also get to really plant roots and learn about that place both on the show and off. And I think that's what kind of makes us who we are. I think it's such an important piece of what keeps us going.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about having 2 internet chefs be on Top Chef? Tell your casting director.
We're just saying, Nicole, pitch us harder.
Not been. Well, I know you guys know a lot about food. I've listened to you talk about food, and I love talking about food with you and hearing you guys talk about food. But really, this is about the restaurant industry, right?
Absolutely,
It's really about pros in professional kitchens.
Absolutely.
I don't call myself a chef. I've worked in the restaurant industry for 20 plus years and 24 years at this point. I'm really, really old. And I would never call myself a chef. Tom is a chef. He's a chef. He's the demigod of chefs. But our show is about really opening that kitchen door and seeing what the real life and the skills of true professionals are. We've had franchises over the years, right? We did Top Chef Junior and Top Chef Desserts and Top Chef Masters.
Love Top Chef
and
Junior.
Top Chef Amateurs.
Oh, we can do Top Chef Amateurs.
Weren't even total amateurs. I mean, you guys aren't total amateurs. That's not what I'm saying. But it was people who are not pros cooking every single night on a line.
Yeah.
But that's what our flagship is really about. It's about the trenches,
And that's one of the things that I love about it so much is that level of professionalism. So we get asked all the time. We call ourselves chefs. We both worked in restaurants, but primarily...
Yeah, very, very sparingly, though.
Yeah, exactly. We're
but it's not what you do now.
No,
exactly.
no.
Right? And
Food
so,
media,
but a lot of
Me
people...
too.
Yeah. We'll get questions just like, why don't you ever go on Top Chef? 1, we're not eligible because we're not that type of chef. But 2... I would get kicked off immediately, and I would get kicked off specifically
because your food's bad?
By Tom, not because my food's bad. No. I fully believe that we can cook with the best of the best, but the differences are, I remember there was one season, there was a person who identified as a, quote, private chef in Napa. He was a young guy. And we, in the industry, know that the term private chef means a lot of different things to a lot of different people.
That is very
And so
true.
there was a... I think there were 3 different kitchens, but they were doing, it was the first episode. It might have been a season where you started with 30 contestants and then immediately cut half of them.
Yeah.
We did do that once. Yeah. God, now you're really stretching my brain.
I'm telling you, I've rewatched every season.
It might have been in Texas. I think in Texas we did that. We started, the first episode was 30 chefs in San Antonio, and we immediately got rid of half of them, and that's where the season started.
And I think it was Wolfgang Puck, Tom, and then another chef were I'm going to put you through a technical proficiency round to weed you out.
Ooh.
And Tom had them like breaking, here's...
Fabricating chickens?
It wasn't fabricating chickens, no. Oh, worse, breaking down primal cuts of beef.
Oh, frick.
And so, and so there's
Peace out.
Tom, who, like you said, he's I've read his book, Think Like a Chef.
Yeah.
Total chef guy from New York.
Totally.
And, if I were faced with a butcher knife and, hey, break down the primal cuts of beef, I'd be like, hold on, let me watch a 40-minute YouTube video about it and then do poorly.
Because that's how we would transfer the information,
filleting a fish, it's like, I can do it, but it's not something that I do every day on a line.
It's not muscle memory.
Right. Well, that's it. But
Yeah.
that's it. You nailed it, Nicole. That's what it's about. It's about muscle memory. It's about people who are like, it's rote for them, right? Like these are people who are on the line cooking their guts out every single day and also leading every day, right?
Yeah.
Because the word chef is different than the word cook. Like I was a cook for a long time and I'm an expert. I am a professional in the industry, but I'm not a chef. A chef to me is the person who leads a kitchen team.
Totally.
And if you're not doing that, you could be an amazing home cook. You could be an amazing entertainer. You could be an amazing, knowledgeable person, as I like to think I am, but I am not a chef, right? It's just a different set of muscles. It's a different part of your brain.
And that creates like one incredible, very real drama on the show. Again, I'm just going to gush. Screw it. I don't care what we're talking about at this point.
Okay, good.
But no, a moment that I think about a lot is Kristen Kish, who one of, to me, the best Top Chef contestants of all time, fully throwing herself under the bus with Josie when Josie came back for
memory.
Thank you so much.
He does.
That was really big. That was a very big moment for us.
It was crazy. And I mean, none of that is staged. None of that's pre-produced. That's
nothing. No way. We could never. First of all, Tom would walk off the set in a second because he is, our North Star. But none of us would want that. That's not how our show works. I don't know. I can't speak to any other show, any other food competition, but our show is not scripted. It's not planned. And if our producers try to step in and suggest something, we all just give them the finger. Most days.
I love that so much. Nicole, we need to have that attitude here.
Who do we
Someone
give the finger to?
Maggie, right here. I'm sorry. No, that was a joke, but now it's on here.
Finger to?
Oh, it didn't feel right. But no, there was this one. I don't know if you know this moment. So it's during Restaurant Wars, which again, that's
I know a restaurant.
He's in 10, I want to say, in Seattle.
I think it was.
Is that true? I think so.
I think it was, yeah. And
the team split up and then they have to make a restaurant.
If the finale is my Super Bowl, Restaurant Wars is like my my All-Star game, my dunk contest,
whatever. Okay, got it.
Thing. It's that mid-season thing.
More sports references, my favorite. Okay,
Top Chef's a sport. But Josie, who is working as Kristen Kish is the head chef, the executive chef of the restaurant. Josie messes up a dish, and like kind of waffles amidst the judges, being like, "Well, I was told to do this," and you could tell she was kind of trying to protect herself. And then Kristen just steps up and she's just like, "I'm the head chef. I should have had a better eye on it. I should have been tasting while I was expoing. You're right. I should go home. I'm out." And then battles her way back through Last Chance Kitchen, which what another freaking addition.
Wow. I love people like that.
Yeah.
That just take
and ends up taking it.
But
and that was a momentous season for all those reasons. Because for us, that was the first time that had happened really where other people had put themselves up on the chopping block and back down, but it was mostly always because they had sort of deserved to do it, right? But in Kristen's mind, as the chef that she is, she was like, "I'm the head of this kitchen. I take the blame. That's the job of a chef. You celebrate when things go great, you celebrate the people under you. And when things go crappy, you take the fall. Like that's what a great chef does." And Kristen was like, "You know what? You're right. She screwed up, but I should have known better because I was leaving her and I'm out. I can't she kind of fell on her sword."
Yeah.
But then she battled back through Last Chance Kitchen, came back to the finals and won the whole thing. And that was the first time that had ever happened. And that proved to us, because Last Chance Kitchen 10 seasons ago was still a social experiment. You know, it was something no one else had done. And we were trying to do this sort of, simultaneous online competition with our eliminated chefs. We didn't know if it would ever work or be relevant. And when she won and came back and then won the whole thing, it sort of proved our hypothesis that could really become something that could be integrated into the show. So she was, just a warrior human. that day.
100%. And now, I mean, she's off, doing her own thing. One, opening up restaurants,
Kick ass.
but also hosting multiple shows now.
Yeah,
Wow.
multiple.
Yeah.
She wrote a cookbook. She shot the proposal for her cookbook in my living room.
No way.
Oh my gosh, what a
And
homie.
she wrote half the book. I mean, this is a testament to the relationships that you forge with contestants after the fact. She wrote half the book. She had a co-author who helped her write the book, who was based in Montreal, and my husband's family's from Montreal. And she wrote half the book literally in my husband's childhood bedroom. Like, she was staying in his childhood bedroom.
That's incredible.
To work on the book with this woman in Montreal. And so at night, we would get like texts from her showing us, my husband's like stuffed raccoon from when he was 12 years old.
That's incredible.
And then his mom would be texting us being like, I caught Kristen raiding the fridge at 2 a.m, making like grilled cheese sandwiches, funny.
Yeah, she found the white anchovies and she was making an emulsion.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So she was great. She's amazing.
How many other TV food competition judges do you think have relationships like this with, the people who have competed on it?
Yeah.
This seems really special.
Is this like a Top
I don't
Chef
know.
exclusive thing, you think?
It's a good question. I've never asked. Here's the thing. I think a lot of other competition shows, they have different relationships from the get-go
Sure.
with their contestants, where they all kind of can hang out during the taping, or some competitions are just every episode stands alone. So there's new contestants coming in. Chopped is like new people every single episode. Right. With us, we sort of like, go to a remote location with these people for 2 months, but we have zero contact with them until the show has not only been shot, but then aired. We very specifically, and our producers very specifically, do not let us alone in a room with them. They are babysat from the second they wake up in the morning till the second they go to bed. We are completely kept separate from them because we don't want to get to know them. We don't want to have any relationship with them while they're cooking. We just want to know about their food. We don't care if their wife left them, if they had a baby 2 months ago, if they're suffering from some sort of other traumas.
Totally.
We want to be impartial because that's the only way to get to a fair final result in our minds. It's the only way to play the game well. And we've thought about it a million ways, and just no other way works for us. So we keep so completely detached and away from them that we aren't even allowed to look them in the eye unless we're on camera. And they don't even keep us in the same building most of the time, except for when we're in the kitchen or when we're at judge's table or at a challenge. So it's only afterwards, after it airs even, we don't even engage with them on social media or anything until after the show has aired.
Wow.
And only that, because we also, then people see it and they think that people don't understand how little contact, and they don't, even though once the show airs, it's many months. I'm sorry, once the show is shot, there's many months until it airs.
Of course.
And all the decisions have already been made. But when things come out or people get to know them while they're watching the show, they don't know that timeline, and it can just be not good. We like to just keep things fairly clean. But afterwards, we do have the chance to get to know them. We're often at events with them. We reach out, we, celebrate them. We do lots of things with them. And that's really special because there are so many of them now, over 20 seasons, who have become big parts of our lives and huge parts of the restaurant industry in and of itself.
True.
Right?
Say huge parts of my lives.
I know.
My first date ended up with an engagement there, so we did it.
I mean, thanks, Maylin.
Yeah, I mean, honestly.
It's extraordinary. Yeah.
Do you think, so that level of like realism in the judging and you not getting to know the contestants in that way, it's funny because the audience is getting to know them in that way while you're not.
That's so true.
And so you almost end up, I'm going to bring up most controversial finale of all time, Nina Compton versus Nicholas Elmy.
Yeah, that's it.
Saying, I mean, that
That's the
was,
one.
and I remember
Why was it so controversial?
All right, so Nina Compton, I mean, one, incredible chef, and she had been dominating the entire season. Nicholas Elmy from Philadelphia has a restaurant out there called Laurel. Super, super molecular gastronomy. I'm going to make 9 different types of carrots and different textures and whatever.
Okay.
But like everyone the whole season is just like, Nina is going to absolutely smoke this finale. And then she really sort of like bit off a lot more than she could chew. Not only that,
For her finale dish?
I believe it was like
Yes.
I think maybe a 5-course meal. And she was like, I'm going to make 7 courses. And due to the rules, y'all were like, well, we're only judging 5 because that's what this was about. And so some of her food like had to suffer because she made so much stuff.
Oh,
and so Nicholas ends up winning that season, and everybody was like, can't you see that she was the best chef the whole time and deserved to win? It was like,
Right.
but we are playing it by the rules that we have set out from the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. You're right. And we still go back, in the lore of the show and talk about that finale so often for a lot of reasons. There's like precedents. We're like the Supreme Court, and it sets precedents that we have to continue. And here's the exact thing about an example, like you suggest, that season 11, it was our New Orleans season. We went to Hawaii for the finale. And the issue becomes, I think that another thing that makes the show special is that that's exactly where the tension lies in the show between viewer and us. We are the taste buds, right? You can't taste the food. Like other shows, you can hear their song, you can see their fashion designs.
That's right.
You can't taste the food. So you rely completely on us for that sensory experience. Meanwhile, all you see is once it's all strung together and edited together, you're seeing their narrative up front before you see their food every episode, right? We, meanwhile, have seen nothing of what you see until the same time that you're seeing it. So when it's happening, when we shoot it 4 months before, we don't know any of that stuff. We don't know any of the what's happening in the kitchen, what's happening in the house, what's going on in their lives. All we see, because we keep so separate from them, is what's in front of us at every challenge. And if we are to judge cumulatively over the course of a season, it becomes completely unfair. If we were to say, well, yes, you're right, Nina won more challenges, beat him more times in the past, then how do you judge the actual qualities of the dish in front of you? Because then it becomes, well, she really screwed up today, but she did so well yesterday that she should win. Well, that isn't fair. It has to be our judging on our show has to just be what is in front of you every day. And every day you get a clean slate and you start fresh. Otherwise, we're basing it on subjectivity, on if we like the person, on personal bias, or on, well, he won 4 challenges, but even though today he totally screwed up, we're just going to give it to him. So what's it worth to, what's the point, right? In trying to do well every day? What's the motivation there? And on the reverse, it's true too. What if someone can't find their groove for a couple of challenges, but then they do and they nail it and they put it in front of you and you're like, yeah, well, this is awesome and it's by far the best dish at the table, but Nina did better yesterday, so we're going to give it to her. That doesn't make sense either, right? We've tried to think about this. We've tried to think of a formula, a million ways to do it otherwise. And it's impossible because it doesn't speak to the challenge that we're giving them that day in that moment. And that was an example, Nina versus Nicholas all those years ago, of how we had to stick to the rules or else it wouldn't have been fair. Do you know that we sat at that judge's table until 6 o'clock in the morning?
Get the hell out of here.
No way.
It's like choosing a new pope.
And P.S. I was almost 8 months pregnant.
It was a big deal.
Whew. It was so painful, but we could not get up until we were all on the same page and really felt like we were making a decision that felt right. And yes, there was in my heart things I wanted to say or, to give it to Nina. But in the end, we knew that episode, that dinner, that meal, those dishes, that particular day, Nicholas had been more consistent and he had delivered a little bit more of a stronger, cohesive meal. Damn. And that had to count, right?
So it's safe to say...
It was so nerdy of me to...
No, it wasn't nerdy. It was so passionate. I loved it. So it's safe to say you guys don't really lie on the show.
We don't.
Because you can't.
We don't. And honestly, I would say, it'd be easier. But we don't want to lie because, look what we've done. There's something that's worked, and here we are. We're still here.
I feel like it goes against the ethos of the show and you three as judges. It just doesn't make sense to lie because everyone's like, "Oh, the food is cold," or the dish, or like, "Oh, it's not cold." I had no idea. I thought the food would be cold. I thought
they can't speak to other shows.
Yeah, but they might put like a garnish at the end or like something. Like when time's up, they still put a little garnish, so they cheat. But you're like, okay, whatever. But you guys don't do that.
Timers go off when we say 45 minutes or 2.5 hours. That's exactly what they get. And our AD and his team are so vigilant that food is eaten hot. So, Padma and I joke, but it's true that if my dress isn't done up or if I'm in the bathroom or if I'm busy sending an email, when that timer goes off, then I don't eat. It doesn't matter. That food's coming out the second it gets set down. It's not fair to them. Compromises their food. On our very first finale, season 1, we had an issue about the temperature of the food and it changing the consistency of that dish, right?
Okay.
Food sits, it congeals,
coagulates,
it changes, it weeps, it melts, it does a million different things. And that first season, we felt that because it sat around to wait for the lighting to be good and to wait for us to be ready, that their food was compromised. And Tom looked up and was like, this is never happening again. I can't do it. It's not fair to them. They've just worked their butts off. They are sweating. They are putting everything into it. We have to respect what they've done. And if we're going to be serious and want to get the quality of chef testing that we are striving to get on the show, then we need to prove to them that we give a crap, a poop.
I think crap is within our guidelines.
Okay, I don't know. I'm trying. I'm stretching.
No,
here.
I respect it. It's so hard for us. We were hoping to catch you in a big lie about how all the food's cold and how it's all food stylist tricks.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, we make a YouTube cooking show.
That's right.
and we'll do little competitions. But have you seen it? That means so much.
Oh my gosh.
You got to come judge. We got to see what it actually takes. Nicole, but I'm going to destroy you so hard. I'm going to sabotage
I'm going to destroy you.
Ready.
No, I'm going to throw salt in your food from across the room.
I'm going to throw sugar in yours. What are you going to do?
Go.
I mean, you know how much you need to get beauties of the food, and you're trying to set up the lights, and things get cold.
Thumbnail photos, beauty photos. You got to get a picture of your own face wearing the same shirt you were wearing 2 days ago. Yeah, it's exhausting.
But it's that relentless commitment that makes a good product. And the thing I think about in food media, especially today, is the answer is always more, not better. You know, it's always like we need to, we're not calling. Listen, I love Food Network. I grew up on Food Network. I still watch a ton of Food Network.
It's like over the top.
Yeah. I mean, it's and I think the president of Food Network once said it's not our job to teach people how to cook. It's our job to get people to watch TV.
Sure,
which is totally true. And we're trying to get views on YouTube. And I know Top Chef is similarly expanding its brand into like a kind of Top Chef expanded universe. I mean, you've hosted Top Chef Amateurs, Top Chef Just Desserts. What's the future of Top Chef, and how do you keep that consistency?
I mean, that's the hardest question. I joke that in season 4, we were in Chicago, and our executive producer at the time, creator of Top Chef, Andy Cohen, came to visit us on set. He was our network executive at the time.
Wow.
And we all went out for dinner. We're sitting around the table, and it's season 4, which, by the way, I thought would never happen. I mean, the fact that we got to season 2 was like a complete triumph. And we're sitting at the table, and I'm like, Andy, like, how long could you imagine the show going on for? Like, realistically, like, what's my future here? Am I going to have a job tomorrow? Or like, should I start? I had a different job. I was working at Food and Wine magazine, and, should I keep the plan B? What are we doing here? And he was like, I don't know, season 11, he sort of said very nonchalantly. And I laughed in his face. Yeah. I was like, that is ridiculous. That's the most absurd thing I've ever heard. I'm not doing this till season 11. There's no way. I can't imagine that anyone is going to want us in their living rooms at season 11. And sure enough, we're making season 20 still deep in it and love our jobs. So I think part of our future is not sticking too closely to what we believe our future will be. And it's to taking the temperature of the industry, evolving and changing our show, which we have done so many times. We went into a pandemic and the restaurant industry basically disintegrated in front of our eyes. And we sat down and said, okay, how can we address this and still make TV that feels relevant and that will bring our community together? And we totally reinvented the show that season and did it somehow in a bubble,
It was a hell of a season too. I remember,
and we cried every day. Like we literally, it was the most difficult challenge we've ever faced because the world was like at war in 5 different ways.
Sure.
And, but also our industry was in peril, and that sounds dramatic, but it was true.
It truly was.
Is, but it, the pandemic exposed so many cracks in so many systems, and the restaurant industry certainly was one of them. So I think part of it is just being true to the industry that we serve and seeing where it goes and taking cues from there. And then just, giving people an escape, because there's nothing more I love. Like lots of people who are in the food industry, like you guys, watch the show and understand what we do. But to me, the most satisfying thing too is for someone to come up to me, on the subway or in a grocery store and say, I don't even know why I watch you guys, because like I don't like to cook. I'm not a foodie.
We get that all the time.
I don't have anything, but it's their sport, right? To your point. And so I think it's making sure that we're inclusive, and that word means 1,000 things. Sure. Inclusive in terms of our industry, in terms of equality in the world, in terms of being able to tell diverse stories, but also inclusive to a wide audience, that like people can watch it with their families, but also they can watch it at 2 a.m. When they, are, I don't know, doing other activities. I don't know. Like there's a million.
Folding laundry.
I did a lot of 2 a.m. Top Chef binges in college.
I don't know. Coming home after a bar, like whatever they're doing, or in a pandemic, they can go back to season 1 and watch it and find comfort in that. But also we can teach them some stuff. And we're not trying to be like condescending or educational, but I do think there's a piece of us that like empowers you to feel better about, the world. And it's hopeful, and it's also, fun, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're not a foodie or love to cook or give anything about food. At the end of the day, we're all human, and we all have to eat 3 times a day. So everyone has an opinion, and how do you engage that and keep it going? And that's kind of our challenge, which we hope to keep doing.
Here's to Top Chef season 50. Gail, we'll see you back here in 22 years.
We'll be in our walkers. Recap. Tom and I will just be like, Padma will be like, she'll have an automatic one. She'll be like fancy. Zipper Vespa.
All the food's just gonna be virtual reality and little pills.
Little pills.
Exactly.
We'll be right there with you. Nicole, you just got 2 kittens a little while back, and I gotta say, you seem happier now that you have those little guys running around.
I am happy, and so are Missy and Harvey. Because 1, I am quite the loving owner. And 2, we use Pretty Litter, which changes color to detect illnesses, including urinary tract infections, kidney issues, and so much more.
He's called Harvey because he looks like Harvey Dent, because he has like 2 different colored furs on his face, and he's very cute. Yep, Pretty Litter is not your conventional kitty litter. Their crystals trap odor instantly, so I never have to worry about cat bathroom smell when I'm heading over to Nicole's.
Also, Harvey's a girl. Did you know that?
No, that's a cool girl name.
And my favorite part is how it helps me to keep my space clean. No huge litter containers to keep, and no mess gathering up. Just small bags of litter shipped right to my door that last long and minimize mess.
Pretty Litter's super light crystal base also minimizes dust, plus the crystals last up to a month, which means less scooping and fewer trips to the garbage can.
Pretty Litter helps keep my cats healthy and keeps odors down. You and your cat are going to love Pretty Litter as much as I do. Go to prettylitter.com/hotdog to save 20% on your first order. That's prettylitter.com/hotdog to save 20%. prettylitter.com/hotdog.
You don't need luck to find the best St. Patrick's Day foods. The people over at Spork did the hard work for you.
That's right. Head over to spork.com for the roundup of everything from the best beers to Dye Green and for the best corned beef hash.
That's spork.com. SPORKED.com. Sporked.com.
Well, Gail and Josh, we've heard what you have to say. Now it's time to find out what other wacky ideas are rattling around there out in the Twitterverse. It's time for a portion we call
Opinions Are Like Casseroles. God, it never gets old, Nicole.
You want to take the first opinion?
All right, sounds good. We'll go, let's see, at let Chacho feed you. Putting, quote, Cotija cheese on street tacos is a crime, and don't call it Mexican at this point. Also putting cumin in a dish because it's, quote, Mexican. Talking about overuse of Cotija cheese and cumin in Mexican food.
How do you feel, Gail?
Okay, let me think about this. I do think there tends to sometimes be an overuse of cumin more than Cotija cheese, as I have seen it. But I do think that Cotija cheese should not be everywhere. You don't want it on every taco. There are certain tacos that do not need cheese. And I think our instinct is just to smother everything in cheese, whether it's cotija or anything. So I can get behind it, but also a little cheese on certain
it's a good cheese. It's a good cheese.
There is a place for the cotija cheese. There's a place for cumin, but you need to have a light and delicate hand. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
It's often, I think, more about proportion than overuse.
Yeah.
In my humble opinion.
In intention, to me, it's like, why is it like my favorite?
Yes.
When I read the Cotija thing, my favorite application of Cotija on a taco right now is at a spot called Los Dorados.
Never been.
Is tacos Dorados. Most people in America would call them taquitos. But they are the flauta-shaped tacos Dorados, and they are smothered in multiple different kinds of salsa. And then the final thing to go on is just a hefty dusting of cotija cheese. So the cotija is the first thing that hits your palate. And then you're just like kind of blasted by the freshness and the acid with the crunch. It eats like pani puri. Like you get the crunch.
Like explodes. Juiciness.
So good. And
then
that
sounds great.
Cumin is that's really Taco Bell's fault. Cumin's used in Mexican cooking, but sparingly.
It's not.
But
I wouldn't say it's like the star flavor by any means.
It's Lowry's taco seasoning. People associate that for whatever. It's like black olives and green onions. It's like at some point, white people in the 70s started throwing it on their quote unquote taco dips, and now it's a thing.
Now it's like canon.
Yeah. So I get it. That's a good opinion.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Alyssa Orozco says animal fat is disgusting. The leaner, the better.
Okay.
If you don't care about flavor, that's correct.
Yeah. I love cooking things in tallow. I love cooking things in... Is butter considered an animal fat? I'd say so.
Yes.
That's a good question.
It's not necessarily from
it is dairy. It's not protein. Yeah, it's not... Right, from marbling.
Yeah.
Lardo, tallow, schmaltz.
Give me it all.
Schmaltz.
Give me it all.
But not even that. Just cooking a piece of meat, there is inherently fat in it, and you can't cook the meat otherwise, and the meat will have no flavor without fat. Fat holds the flavor molecules. So the more marbling in a piece of steak, for example, the more fat in a chicken thigh. That is why a chicken thigh inherently takes on and is more flavorful than a chicken breast, which is incredibly lean and basically like a piece of white bread. There's no flavor there. Sure, you can add flavoring, but it doesn't taste like chicken. And there's just that's where the flavor lies, let alone the ability to keep moisture in. So if you enjoy no flavor and also eating really, really dry, almost unswallowable things, then no fat is for you.
Yep.
And you know what? Maybe they're living. Maybe they're just dipping their chicken breast into a cup of water, and that's all there is for that.
I've started in my home. I've started pulling away from oils. So I don't use like what is it called? Hydrogenated oils or like grapeseed oils and stuff. I've started removing it from our diet, and now we do butter, tallow, avocado oil, or olive oil. So it's just pressed oils and like animal fats oils now. Yeah, we don't do any more neutral oils in my house.
That is almost all that I cook with, and I'm ashamed because it's just so easy, and I'm trying to get off the... We were all raised from watching Food Network shows that olive oil is what you should be cooking with all the time, no matter what you're doing. Yeah. And then at some point I like red pilled myself, and I was like... My tipping moment was watching a Food Network chef. And again, I love Food Network. I don't know why I'm talking about this. I love Food Network. But I watched a Food Network chef making like an Asian, like it was a Korean recipe. And they're like, start with a glug of olive oil. And it was like, I don't think historically that was part of the Korean cooking canon. And it's very strange that you're doing that. Schmaltz, though, is the best animal fat to cook with. It's so unique. And
I'm learning how to use schmaltz more.
It needs to be more readily available.
Yeah, it's not. Can I tell you what the problem is?
Go to your butcher, though. Your butcher, if you have a good quality butcher,
I do.
They usually keep some schmaltz or can get it for you.
I go to the Sephardic butchers. They don't really do that stuff, but I'll find a good Ashkenazi one. You want the next opinion, Josh?
I got it. Okay, here we go. At Father of Imps, diced jalapenos mixed with grape jelly smothered on a hot dog. It's so good. Jalapeno grape jelly hot dog. Gail, where are we at?
Personally, I am not big into grape jelly, number one. Number two, but that's okay. Like it has its place for sure with some peanut butter. I'm all for it. But also, I don't know, I'm not a salty sweet mixer by nature. Like it's not my go-to. But I will say this. I'm willing to accept that combination, mostly because my daughter, who's 9 years old, and very opinionated about food.
I wonder where she got that from.
I'm actually the easiest eater in my whole family. I just want to say the least judgmental, most easygoing eater in my family.
That's great.
Saying something because cooking for them is a pain in the butt. No, that's not true. They're actually really good eaters. All to say, one of her favorite things to eat since she was about 4 years old that she created herself is a bagel with strawberry jam and capers.
Cute.
Whoa.
And I'm like, girl, that is problematic in this house.
That's my kind of girl right there. No, I love that.
She is like, Mama, if you do another cookbook, this is in it. It is amazing. And I tasted it and I get why she likes it because there's that hit of salt and brininess and then the strawberry and the carbiness and the whole thing. It's kind of good. So you know what, father of imps?
Yeah.
I'm not going to knock it because I haven't tried it.
That's fair. This bears similarities to a delicacy that I grew up
Yep,
eating.
go ahead and say
which
it.
are, you know what it is.
Swedish meatballs?
No. It is, I don't even know if it has a name, but you take little Smokies, Hillshire Farms.
Oh, yeah.
Dump them into a crock pot with equal parts barbecue sauce and grape jelly.
Oh, we did apricot jam.
Oh,
Little hot dogs
Canada.
with apricot jam, which I always thought was
Interesting.
kind of weird, but also not terrible.
Yeah.
It's good.
I would eat this.
The salty with the sweet. I mean, it kind of, there's a lot of sweet sausages out there in the world that I do love.
I would absolutely eat this, no problem. You know what I would do? I wouldn't eat it with a bun. It'd be a Lucy. It'd be a Lucy hot dog.
Yeah, Lucy.
And
Also, the jalapeno is a good idea. I think that's
Yes.
that's. the most
Do you
brilliant piece.
think these are fresh jalapenos, or do you think they're canned jalapenos?
I believe they're pickled. I think
The
people
pickled
say,
canned ones?
Pickled canned ones for sure. And he's getting some of the brine in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would simmer the hot dog for anywhere between 10 minutes to 4 hours.
That's your problem. You simmer it. You need to, I'm telling you, score it and throw it in the pan.
No, I want the purple, the food dye from the grape jelly or at least the Concord grape juice to seep in. I want to see instead of a smoke ring, like a grape jelly ring in my head. That's what I'm about.
Josh, I'm learning so much about you today, and
I'm
really
very cultured and worldly.
you.
Thank you.
Right. Jesse Grave period S says Takis dipped in Nutella is actually delicious.
Takis. Gail, have you had a Taki?
Oh yes, again, I have a 9-year-old daughter
Oh,
Of
fair.
course.
who loves a Taki. She loves a flaming hot Cheeto. She tried to get me to buy these blue Takis the other day, and I'm like, absolutely not. I have to have some sort of standard in what I put into your body.
Tell her they're not even that good. They don't even taste
they're
that
not
good.
that
I can't even talk about it. Again, it's kind of the same thing. I haven't tried it. I love Nutella. I understand the lure of a Taki. I bet that it sort of, makes it a little creamy. It sort of coats your mouth so that the acidy flame is not as front forward.
I love you trying to justify this. I
don't know
trying
what
to
to say about
justify
it.
it.
I mean,
it's incredible.
You can say it sounds bad. It sounds terrible. Yeah, it sounds
pretty
pretty bad.
What I want to know is how he got there in the first place.
I know. So he probably, they probably had one of the Nutella with the bread dippers.
Oh,
That's what happened. And then their brains, whenever you have like intrusive thoughts, like they were like, I don't need these breadsticks. I'm going to dip a Taki in there. And then the intrusive thoughts won. And then they typed this to us and we responded.
Yeah, we gave it our time and our energy.
Yeah.
You don't think they went through multiple different dippers? 'Cause
No.
I want to dip Takis in just condensed milk now. And that's where
Takis
I'm
and
at.
condensed milk.
Because it's the chocolate that's bothering me on this, right? I don't like chocolate and acid. To me, I just don't like the combo. I don't even like chocolate dipped strawberries all that much. And so that's where the Takis are bumping me. But you just get the sweet and the creamy on there. Fat. Someone once said fat transmits flavor.
A wise person, right?
We got one more. This one says, question specifically for Gail. Who is the greatest top? They didn't even know. They know she was going to be on the show. Who, if you had to say there was one Top Chef contestant, if you put everybody together in one competition, who do you think would win? And you got to hurt some feelings here. You got to pick one.
God,
This is
that's
crazy.
so
You got to
hard.
pick one because I'm really
I'm
curious.
getting hives just thinking about you asking
know.
this question.
I know.
That is, oh, God, it's really hard. Okay, I'm going to say something that might be controversial here.
Okay.
It might be, and I have a few opinions. I mean, there's a lot of people here, but let's say people have asked us a lot, like, why don't you do a winner circle competition? And the main reason is because they're all winners, and like this season has a lot of winners, but it's international, so it's different. But the reason that our 19 seasons of winners, we're not doing one, is because unless they all do it, like they've already won, they don't need. Why would they risk losing after they've won, and they can just like say I've won and walked away? But I will say, if we put them all together, I'm going to say Stephanie Izard.
Stephanie Izard, hell yeah.
I think maybe. And there's a lot of reasons. Like I could justify a lot of people here, but I'm going to say Steph because she went on after us to win everything. Mm-hmm. She became a Food Wine Best New Chef. She won a James Beard Award. Then she won like some Iron Chef gauntlet situation. Then she won some championship other thing. Like she just is a pro heavyweight champion.
Wow.
And she not only deeply understands, because I've now eaten also at all of her restaurants, and she has a million. I mean, she is like an incredibly successful chef and restaurateur, but she inherently understands how we as humans like want to eat, and she nourishes that part of us that is like soulful and interesting and crazy and delicious.
Wow.
But she also is like the craziest warrior, professional, killer, fighter human.
Damn.
With the biggest smile you've ever seen. So that's my vote right now. I don't know. I'm making it up, but I do believe my own words.
Again, Top Chef season 50, that's going to be it. Stephanie Izard versus the world. I love that. And we got to go to the Girl and the Goat.
I've been.
Restaurant in LA. I'm sorry. You're cooler than I am.
I've been.
I actually haven't been to the LA one. So Josh,
I'll come too now. Okay, I can come too. No, I want to come
we'll
too
make
now.
a res. Tell us when you're in town.
Yeah. Make it for 3. Make it for 3. I'm coming.
Done.
Gail, again, thank you so much for being on the show. Everybody, March 9th, Bravo, Top Chef, World All-Stars in London. Right. Sounds like an incredible season. Gail, you got anything else to plug? Where can people find you?
Thank you. I mean, often in my pajamas, but also, I don't know, at Gail Simmons Eats on Instagram, gailsimmons.com. But I'm around. I have a few things up my sleeve this year, so just keep watching. And also, stay tuned in London because we have the greatest time on Top Chef 20.
I'm clear now on the Thursdays on the calendar. And thank you all so much for watching and listening to A Hot Dog is a Sandwich. We got new audio-only episodes every Wednesday, and then YouTube video drops on Fridays.
And if you want to be featured on Opinions or Like Casseroles, you can hit us up at 833-DOG-POD-1. The number again is 833-DOG-POD-1.
Gail, you got to call the hotline and leave us a voicemail.
I think I have to. I have opinions.
Nice.
All right, and for more Mythical Kitchen, we're on YouTube. New videos every week. You know the deal. See you all next time.